Hey guys, I've been a little bit absent on Tumblr recently, and a lot of what I have been posting has been like pretty personal stuff, and it's just because I don't know, like a lot of personal stuff is happening in my life. But I did want to make a video about something today because I had off and I was really bored. Um, I'm sorry that I have not been around, and I really want to be more active in our communities, paganism, witchcraft, heathenism, what have you. Um, Also, I'm sorry that I look like I just crawled out of bed because I literally did. I just took a nap, so my hair's back, and I don't have any makeup on or anything, but whatever. So, I was gonna make a video about some of the things that I use in my practice that maybe just aren't as common in other practices that I see on Tumblr. And I think that's mainly because like the hedge witch population is pretty small on Tumblr, and those who do practice hedge witch or hedge craft typically have some sort of underlying religious tone to them, and so they may have altars or they may have sacred spaces to the gods or goddesses or deities or whatever that they follow, and that's a huge part of their practice, which is super awesome. But for me, as a secular atheist witch, that's not so much what I do. So I'm just gonna go right in. You guys know that I do a lot of canning and stuff, so a lot of what I have are vintage canning jars. I like them just because they have a bit of history to them. They usually have the different imperfections that I like about them. This one has a lot of bubbles in the glass, and which is like not really desirable when you're looking at like antique stuff. And then it also has some straw marks because glass used to be set into straw um, to cool down, and so sometimes you'll see marks from the like straw, like hay straw, if that makes sense. So this is an Atlas strong shoulder mason jar, and you can tell it's like a little bit different shape. It is like the blue, which is really desirable, and you can tell that this blue is different than the like the modern blue that you see, because I know that a lot of I know Bell or sorry, ball jars and another one right now they're putting out the like the throwback ones, but they're a much more brilliant blue than this. This is the actual vintage blue color. It's really light aquamarine-ish color, and then it has the original zinc top, which they're very rough to the feel, and they don't seal very well anymore. I would never use anything like this for canning because usually the bottoms blow out. But I use them in my workings, and I use them for storage for my herbs and stuff. I don't know if you can see, pardon me, above me is I'm going the wrong way, a very large collection of my mason jars and my herbs. That's about half of them. I have another shelf completely full. That's another 6-foot shelf. So then the next thing is beeswax, but it's a very specific kind of beeswax. It's actually local to my area. It essentially just wept down and dried in that. And it smells very, I don't know, it smells like honey, it smells like outdoors. I got this a couple months ago. I haven't like really restocked. I think this is a gallon jar, and this is the last that I have of it. So I still have about a gallon left of beeswax to use. I use it in my salves. I use it in some ointments. I do use it in workings too, and I would really like to get into candle making just for like personally for myself, but it's not something that I've pursued yet. But I might eventually. But I do use beeswax a lot, like usually within a week, like on a weekly basis. So I'll need to stock up really soon. I probably go through about a gallon every month or two. The next thing, so you guys obviously like smudge sticks are really common. I have a whole bunch of them. I think this is some sort of, oh, it's some sort of pine mix. But I also have taken a liking to buying and drying my own lemongrass, which you can buy lemongrass really cheaply at Asian markets, which is where I usually get mine. I do have a lemongrass that I grow outdoors during the summer, but because I don't live in a really hot area, it doesn't get very large, so I do take fresh cuttings for cooking from there. But if I'm talking about drying big stalks, I usually go to the store, rubber band them together, and then dry them. I have an antique shutter that I dry all of my herbs on, which I would show you guys, but I have to like fuck around with the camera, so I don't want to do that. But these burn really well too. You do have to be a little more careful. I tend to burn these ones outside because they smoke a lot more, and I just keep them together with a rubber band. This is a really pretty bottle, but more importantly, I make wine specifically for ritual use, and I brought some to a heathen group that I am affiliated with here in Madison, and we used it for a bloat, which I do not remember which one it was, but within the last couple months. So this isn't wine that is to be consumed by the person pouring it. This is specifically for use with deities or for use with entities, spirits, those who have passed on. And I specifically make the wine or spirits, depending on what I'm making, for that purpose. So that's something that I think is pretty unique to my practice. I'm sure other people make ritual wines out there, but it's not something that I see very often on Tumblr. And so the process is similar to making a regular wine. Like, it is totally drinkable. Like, it tastes good, and, you know, it's not because it's subpar, it's just because that's the ritual process that I went through in making it. Like, that's what it was designated to be. This is Belvedere vodka, and I literally need to say nothing else about it. It's really good, and I drink it. And that's part of my practice. Sometimes. I'm gonna save that for later. I have a couple other things. So this is a piece of Wedgwood, and I think that it's actually a cigarette holder, but I got it at a thrift store for $1 because you can see there's a little chip in it. If it didn't have a chip in it, it would be worth considerably more because it is an authentic piece of Wedgwood. It has the marks on the bottom, made in England. It's got the factory number and everything. It's empty right now, but I typically hold my matches in it because it is a fire-safe item, so even if the matches were to go off, they would pretty much be safe in here because it does close. So that's pretty cool. I just think it's really neat. It does have a Grecian scene on it, which is sort of a theme with Wedgwood if you're familiar with them at all. I just thought it was pretty. Flying ointment. Don't need to say anything else about that. Oh. Okay, sorry, I had to reach across. I really like field guides, so here's the edible wild plants for Eastern and Central North America, and then here's the Eastern and Central medicinal plants and herbs. If people are asking me about hedgecraft and they're like, tell me references, what book should I read? I mean, these are the kind of books that I'm going to send them to because I just feel like a lot of the other books are very shallow and typically have a slant to them, whether it's neo-Wiccan or neo-pagan or religious in some way. If you're talking about secular hedgecraft, like, pretty much the only sources you're going to be able to find are historical references, references to folk magic, cultural references, and then, you know, like urban plant books and foraging books, things like that. So these are two that I really like. They're the Peterson Field Guides by Lee Allen Peterson. This one, the Edible Wild Plants one, and then the Medicinal Plants and Herbs is by Stephen Foster and James A. Duke. I think I got them off of Amazon for like maybe $9 a piece. They were on clearance. This is, I feel embarrassed because it's super dirty because I spilled some wax on it, but this is one of my scrying mirrors, and I have 5 or 6 of them because I really think that they're very beautiful. I actually have a huge framed one in a frame probably from the Victorian era or the aesthetic era, one of the two. So it's, I don't know, it's probably about that big, and it's framed on my wall, and I really don't use that one very often. It's more for appearances, but these ones, I have a stand that I put them on, and then I use them for meditation and for scrying. Sometimes as part of my ritual or workings, they sort of fit into that as well. And I think that's all that I had out right now, but I mean, other things that I use in my practice, obviously I use tons of glassware and incense. I've got a massive herb collection. I use a lot of everyday items too. Obviously, a lot of my magic is in cooking and then in the kitchen and in brewing and things like that. You know, I usually put intention into just about everything that I make and do, no matter how small or insignificant it might seem. But certainly if you guys have more questions about the things that I've shown you, or if you want to see more things or ask about things that you think I might use, I certainly would love to fill you guys in, and it's just nice to be talking about witchcraft on a blog that was supposed to be about witchcraft to begin with. So thank you guys for watching. It's kind of a lazy day here, and I just appreciate you guys being around.